It's been 16 years that I have not stood here in front of you. 16 months. Most of you know me, but many of you might not know me. I was the associate minister for this church from 2012 through 2022. During my tenure, many good things happened. My initial role was a lot of administrative support back in Longview Center, and I was part of the team that built this facility. And in addition to all of that, no, that's not yet. And through it all, I was able to do the role of an associate minister in terms of teaching and speaking and leading. And many of you know what else I did, and partying. In 2017, with a group of people, we founded a Spanish ministry here that as of this month has officially become a separate individual ministry. For those of you who know me and are wondering what happened, what you left, how was it what led me to leave my soul family and go to Miami? And then within less than a year, leave Miami for a new venture, knowing that at some level, it didn't make any sense I was happy here in Miami. They treated me like a queen, I must say. And not only did they treat me as a queen, or very nicely, but they allowed me, there was a great ministerial opportunity for me to keep developing the Spanish ministry in the biggest bilingual city in the US. So without going into much details, inner and outer circumstances brought me to this realization that in both places, my role as a traditional minister, as associate minister, was up. There has always been this passion and zest for me, even in the spiritual field, to do innovation and to do things out of the box. So in Miami, the opportunity in Miami, the time there gave me the chance to understand a lot about myself. And I was able to understand that I really need more balance between structure and creativity. It taught me that I need time during the week, a lot of time for spiritual exploration. And it really taught me too that I am I see myself like a spiritual entrepreneur who has a big calling to serve the Spanish-speaking population online with different concepts. And that became clear towards the end of my time there, as at some level things weren't clicking much. Most important, I would say that I am well and happy. Right now I'm doing a lot of guest speaking, both in Puerto Rico, where I moved. I'm going to share some of my experience of how it was moving back to the island after 12 years. I have been approached by Unity Worldwide Ministries to support in some consulting work across the movement. I am I'm one of the board members of Unity Worldwide Ministries. So it really feels that spirit, it's just moving me around to see probably innovate or have some sort of major contribution or larger contribution in the movement. This may all sound really wonderful, but I must say, if I'm really authentic with all of you, that it has not been easy. I have had major losses over this last year. When I moved to Miami, I stayed with my cousin of mine for 5 months, and during that 5-month period, her husband started deteriorating and unexpectedly died in front of us, and I had to support her and take care of the memorial services and all that while in a new job. And then shortly after, my father and my uncle passed away the same weekend. So this was like a lot of loss in a short period of time. So late February, I made the decision, after having my dad had passed, of going back to the island. I really felt that I needed to be with my family and friends. It was like an emotional need, really, really significant. And I had to quickly decide, okay, I sort of like distributed some of my stuff here and took some back to the island. And then realized that I had a car. And so I called my daughter, Lauren, who is in Atlanta, in school there. And I said, Lauren, how would you like to get a new car? And she's like, oh, and hybrid. She goes, be my guest. So I drove up from Florida to Atlanta. I remember I was so emotional that when I dropped off the car, I started crying over the car. Like, oh, I miss you, whatever. And I realized how vulnerable I was. So I took a flight from Atlanta back to San Juan, and I remember this was like a moment that I will never forget. I am walking towards the gate to going to San Juan, and I'm in tears. I'm like, I have hardly recovered from losing my family in North Carolina, my house, my friends, my church. Then I was bonding with my Unity Miami people. This is, David, you can show them if you want the picture of, I want you to see some of my pictures there. This is just for you to see the connection that I had with Reverend Juan and some of the people there. So I'm dealing with all of that, and my father and my uncle and my cousin, and I'm in tears. And I decided on texting one of my spiritual mentors, almost like I learned that expression here. I was in my own pity party. And I said, oh, there's so much loss, and I'm really sad. And she told me, it's not about loss. It's about expansion. You're being expanded in some other ways, and you have to trust that the work that is meant to be done, it's probably larger than what you were thinking, so just trust. So I'm walking there towards the gate. I'm also realizing that, okay, if I'm meant to go independent, I need support. And I really literally heard this voice saying, act as if you will be supported. And it's almost like, when in Unity we know God is within, but we just go into our default of God out there. So I went like, are you sure? And I heard, yes. And I said, okay, let's go forward. Has it ever happened to you that your heart is really clearly speaking to you and telling you, this is the way you need to go, and your mind is like, you're crazy? What are you really thinking? It doesn't make any sense. But the voice of the heart is so loud that you just have to pay attention to it. But because the mind is still there, you feel that you're losing control because you are about to go into truly unknown territory, where the illusion is like, I'm not in control. But what I have learned through my own process is that if you keep walking and keep trusting and keep focusing on what is yours to do, it's like ultimately you're going to make it to the other side. We just have to be patient, to listen more, and then you know what? to manage the mind more. Because now the mind has to be used for the heart purposes. And it's almost like as we do it, as we manage the mind and trust the heart, it's like then we allow the heart to point to us the direction. And again, in this idea that we are going to be supported. I met a friend in Miami who told me, I love this, and I think I shared with the Spiritual Dialogue group. She says, she's a person of big faith. She says, it's just when Papa invites, Papa pays. I like that. Papa, God, of course. I go, okay, if Papa invites, Papa pays. So that became like my mantra. So then I go, okay, if this is for me to do, and this is the ministry that is meant to be, and I'm going to show you another picture of the new ministry, Spirit will pick up the tab. And this is, I have my partner in ministry, Osvaldo Mora. Osvaldo, say hi. He'll be with all of you next week. We just came back from a retreat in Unity Village, and we decided on incorporating the ministry here in North Carolina. So the day that was born was July 12, 2023. It's really a virtual bilingual. We're going to have some English in North Carolina, Puerto Rico, and Ecuador, and with emphasis in education, prayer, and small groups. So we're really excited, and that's almost like what I'm really doing now. I'm doing public speaking and doing some work at a bigger level for income, and while this baby continues to grow. But coming from that awareness that Spirit will support me and will support us. And what I'm noticing is that I trust more and I come closer in connection with that one presence. It's like a stronger connection of love. I feel God's love like real, saying, we're in this together and just allow yourself to be. So that's why I called this talk today, even though it was like the power of love, I called it Love is in the Air, because it always is. And in our ignorance, we might think that it's only oxygen, right? But if we really know that first principle that says that God is omnipresent, and if God is love, then it means that love is omnipresent, right? So it's like, that's why if we become aware of that there is no space where God's love is not, we just have to open to it more and more. That's why I like to think that there is so much love that the divine still wants to offer to us. Can you open to that idea? And that's part of what I wanted to do in the meditation, to be aware that we are called more and more to allow that divine love to express through us so that we may give it to. So it's about receiving it and giving it. And I have a slide for that, David. So the question is, again, why limit? Why would we resist love? So here I understand that I still use we. Don't you love it? We are doing a series on the 12 powers. And these 12 powers, as you know, are really like the DNA of our Christ presence. In Unity, when you study what the Christ concept is, it's made of the 12 powers. And in our Spanish ministry, Osvaldo is really, that's his thing. He's really passionate about his 12 powers. He says that all the unity ways and teachings are brought together in the 12 powers. So many people in the movement use the 12 powers as a way to create like a prayer process and so on. But in my case, I was really moved to pick love because I see love as the one that brings them all together and serving, like Fillmore would say, as a love, as a magnetizing and harmonizing presence. So the more we love, the more we express that power, the more magnetizing and harmonizing or harmonizing factor will be in our lives. And it's a good reminder that we need to tell ourselves that if we are not fully in that power, it's really, if you analyze it deeper, you come to the conclusion that it's really fear. And fear comes from that belief at some level that we are still separate, that there's a part of us that is not acknowledging that completely because we're still seeing ourselves as only human from the only human perspective. But we are not meant to stay there. We're meant to express all of our Christ potential and our divine nature in every way, and especially, and this is like almost like the highlight of my talk today, the way I see it, that when each one of us allows for our life purpose to unfold, is how we bring that energy of love to the Christ level. God expresses its love toward its creation, this is a quote from me, through each one of us as we open to express our life purpose. Can you take that with me? God expresses its love or her love or his love toward its creation through each one of us as we open to express our particular life purpose. I really believe that our souls chose to come in a body with a specific script to realize our divinity through a particular endeavor, and this all gets communicated through our heart space. This communication can really feel very threatening to the ego many times because the ego mind, the conditioned mind, has a limited version of reality and operates on the assumptions of what it has experienced and learned and cannot contemplate anything else. If it doesn't fall into this category, it will create conflict and discomfort. But it's really God's intention to express love through you in whatever we are meant to fulfill. So again, I ask myself, and this is all my inner own conversation, why limit? Why resist it? And you know why I think we do sometimes? And I'm speaking from my own experience. We do it because in allowing our full potential to come through in a way of fulfilling our own purpose, it's because it might not be the time for it. And when something is not the right time, you cannot force it. But then when the time is right, then we have to say, hey, I'm going to move forward. I'm going to trust it. I'm going to express it. I'm going to let it be. But then it's like, okay, you're ready to fulfill your next thing in life or in your own spiritual path. You need to bring other powers. And what's the other power you need to bring immediately? The power of faith. And you need to also activate the power of will that allows you to choose each and every time the path that you have chosen. Even if you have fallen, you keep back up. You keep trying. You keep working towards your goal, towards what you know is God's purpose for you. Another power that has to be in the mix, faith, will, and wisdom. Because the wisdom, the inner wisdom, will give you directions when the world is saying something else. It's like for me, getting that download that act as if you will be supported. The ego mind might say, it's like you surrender 2 job positions in which you had a guaranteed salary to go on this venture that feels right to your heart. How can I stay there without listening to an inner wisdom that is telling me, you might not see it now, but it will come? And I was really touched because during this period of time, like 3 months that we were operating, continued doing our online programming, we had to tell the people it's going to take a while for us to incorporate a nonprofit, so you need to give money to me personally. And I was really moved to see people sending their tithes and all the expenses being covered. And this is all installing in me a new level of connection and faith that I'm, at the end of the day, is what I'm really modeling and teaching for others, because as spiritual leaders, if you don't learn it yourself truly, how effective can you be in helping others? So that's almost like the lesson that has been running for years now as I moved to North Carolina in 2011. You know that I came to North Carolina, we came as a family based on a hard decision that this is where we needed to be. And it turned out to be one of the best decisions for our family. It was great times for my kids to come to this church and receive a spiritual education and everything else that moving to Raleigh implied. And then shortly after, now I look back and I go, it's been a journey of the heart, trusting that more and more. And what I'm learning is that it will never lead me astray, even if it looks like disaster at times, or you have big cries like I had in the airport. And you know why? Let's inhale with me. Exhale. Love always wins. Love always wins. And Spirit loves us by sending those messages through the heart. It is a beautiful exchange of energy. Spirit speaks, we listen, we act accordingly, and then love magnifies. And I have a slide for that. I want you to really take this home with you. It's a beautiful connection when we listen to Spirit, we act, we're faithful to that voice, and then love magnifies. And to me, that is the way that we honor Jesus' commandment. Remember Jesus' first commandment? Love the Lord with all your heart, mind, and soul. Being obedient to that call, in spite of what we know or might be a temporary fear. For at some point, the fear will flip to love and to a higher state of love. Only love. And I really think and feel that at that point we are invisible. No, invisible, no. Invincible. Were you thinking that I was wrong? No. It's how we express our full Christ presence. Love leading the way, opening every door. It's like this is how we really become an inspiring presence that creates a domino effect just by our vibration that it's real. That we're stepping out there, honoring our hearts, fulfilling our purpose on this lifetime, and it's like the connection enhances. Imagine yourself, as I'm almost closing this talk, imagine yourself for a moment expressing love the way Jesus did. So freely, empowered, real. Just connect with that love. It can still be felt 2,000 years. Just bask in that love. The Christ level of love that not only will touch our immediate surroundings, but will touch future generations. For love knows no distance of time and space. We are all meant for this work of love. God has your back, open fully, and know that you are loved beyond measure. And when we see people in the world, the community, because of their ignorance, putting violence and envy and polarization and injustice in the air, we're going to do the opposite. We're going to show that Christ love and letting it be, and letting the oxygen be filled with the love that it always is. For there is only love.
I hope you got something out of today's service. We intend to bring you things that will help you in your life become more of who you want to be, give you the freedom of forgiveness and the hope of expectancy that your life will unfold in a way that brings you joy, happiness, and is a contribution to the world. If you would like to contribute to this ministry, please go to unitytriangle.org, hit the donate button, and it will lead you into an easy way of doing that. We thank you for your attention and look forward to seeing you again here.